Mary Welch, a 10-month-old infant, died of malnutrition and dehydration in her Michigan home on August 2, 2018. Mary's parents, Seth Welch and Tatiana Fusari, call 911 when they discover Mary deceased in her bed the morning of August 2nd. Seth and Tatiana are brought in for questioning. This is Tatiana's interrogation.
Hi.
Tatiana, this is my supervisor.
We've seen each other, but I don't think we've met. I'm sorry for your loss. I know that obviously the last thing you want to be doing is this. So we haven't spoke yet. I know you've already spoken with Jason. My name is Jason as well. But some of the same stuff that some of the same stuff that he's already talked about, I wasn't there when you guys spoke, so I'd like to go over some of that. Obviously, he's already advised you of your constitutional rights up at the scene. You still remember those rights. It's,
thank you for clarifying.
Yep, no problem. Do you want me to read them to you again, or you're still good to go? All right. Like I told you, you're not under arrest, but because you're in this fine facility, would you like to just remind you of those? So. Really, what I kind of just like to do is just to get a better understanding of how we are here today and kind of go back a few years even, just to get to know you and your family a little bit. So, do you go by Tatiana, or do you have a nickname?
Tatiana.
Tatiana? Okay.
Nicknames don't really seem to work.
You can just give us an easy nickname. No, I'm just kidding. How many children do you have?
Sorry, 5.
3?
3.
Okay, yep. All right. Yeah. And Mary. Okay. How old is your oldest?
4.
And your and what? Okay. So at the scene there, I was told that he's verbal. Is that true that he doesn't, or he's very verbal?
He's very verbal.
Oh, I don't know. Someone, and you know how it gets mixed. You whisper in one person's ear and as it goes down the chain. Maybe he was just being shy. So that's
he tends to get shy. But
yeah, he did some high fiving for me, but
he knows lots of words. He's just sometimes big sister can be a little dominating. So
maybe that's what it is.
Him, but,
and probably all the commotion probably really made him shy, and he probably didn't want to. So maybe they were just saying he was nonverbal right now. Maybe that's what it was.
Possibly.
Medical issues or nothing like that? Okay.
None at all.
And is she in any kind of daycare? Does she go?
No.
Does she have preschool?
No, I homeschool. I have my degree in early childhood
Oh, you do?
education.
Okay.
So
Good for you.
Thought since being at home at the farm, I can at least give them an initial education before we decide to send them off to grade school.
Absolutely. So, have you
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Like, and what kind of stuff?
She is fluent in her alphabet, her numbers at least up to 20.
Wow.
Although she knows other numbers like 100 and 60, but not in sequence.
Okay.
She's practicing her writing. She just has a little issue with the numbers. They get a little backwards. But
Okay.
she knows how to spell words like hi, cat, dog. She knows that Elizabeth starts with E.
She kind of do better than Jason. The hi and the cat and dog part. So, does a doctor that she sees? Does she have a primary doctor?
Not anymore. We
Okay.
did have, it was great and everything, we just, we only go if there's an issue, and there just hasn't been.
Oh, good.
When she was 2,
Okay. And what was that for?
a checkup.
Do you know what clinic he's with?
It's his own practice.
Okay.
I know it's in Rockford. And
Do you remember where in Rockford? Okay, that's fine. No big deal. So, she was there for her 2-year checkup.
Mm-hmm.
Was she ever there prior to the 2-year checkup?
yes.
For what time?
18-month checkup.
18 months. Any other one?
No, we had her.
Okay, so prior to the 18-month checkup, she was with a different doctor.
Yes.
Do you don't remember that? Okay.
He was the one that called CPS on us because we.
What were your occasions to be with him?
Her preliminary vaccinations.
So where? Metro Barn, and then so from there. So off the top of your head, you remember?
Maybe 6 months.
6 months.
Maybe.
Yeah, I won't hold you to it. I know it's a while ago. And so at
Early
6.
enough for her to get. Early enough for her to get her vaccinations, and we were consistent with it. And then afterwards, we just did a lot of research, and we didn't feel the need to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Williamson was very gracious with us and understanding, and
Yeah.
you actually don't have to do that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Six times.
Okay.
We'll do 4 to 6 if you want.
Okay, and so at what visit, obviously it was probably the last visit,
Mm-hmm.
is when he recommended the helmet, the
Yes.
head shaping. But so there was never any concern about the shape of her head from 0 to 18 months?
No, that's why it was such a concern for us as to why he would just bring this up out of nowhere. And
So what was the problem with the shape of her head according
he
to him?
said it was off. It was just not circular. And I mean, I wasn't offended. I was just taken aback. And then my Seth found out that it's commission based with these products that they try and push. So we don't know specifically. This is hearsay.
Right, sure.
But we think that
We'll
he
accept
was
it.
trying to push the helmet. It was a $3,000 helmet for that and called CPS and said that we were being neglectful or something or other.
Okay.
And then that's when we went to doctor.
So was it the first time he ever pushed that helmet? Was it right around the 18 months? That's the first
I
time he
believe so.
Okay.
Unless he spoke to Seth otherwise, but I doubt it.
I've never even heard of a head shaping helmet.
Have you ever seen young children? It looks like some children with Down syndrome will wear it, and it like cuts here and it cuts like that, and it's big and clunky.
Maybe I have seen that. Maybe I have. Yeah.
It looks quite invasive, and I just am heavy, and I just didn't want her to like get neck problems or back problems. She didn't need it.
Right. Yeah. So, the 2-year checkup. After that, we haven't needed it. how's the shape of her head?
Wonderful.
That's
You've
good.
seen her.
Yeah. So that worked out just. Was okay.
Yes.
How does that work?
Wonderful.
Was that a choice?
Yes.
Was that like what do they call it? Like a midwife or something?
Yeah, it was a home birth.
Okay,
I
so
had a midwife.
how does that work when you choose to have? First off, I mean, why did you go from being from her in a hospital and then some transformation here where you said we want to do the midwife? Yeah.
Yeah. The being at the hospital was very invasive. They with me after she was born. They wanted her out of the room. They wanted us there for 3 days because apparently I pushed out a lot more fluid than they were expecting. So she coughed. I'm like, oh, we need to keep her for testing. And then I didn't think it's because they just wanted to charge us more. I don't know. Conspiracy theory, yada yada, whatever.
Yeah, you never know though, right?
Exactly,
right.
You don't. So I just think they wanted to keep us there for 3 more days, and then they wouldn't like allow me to see her except to nurse, and they were saying, oh, you can just give her food here, and don't worry, you can rest. I want to see my baby. And then they would have like WIC come in and give me information, and then you want to have newborn portraits? No, can I just go home?
Right.
So we just didn't want any part.
So that just turned you off to the.
And having a home birth right after I gave birth, Seth went out and bought me a pizza, and I ate that whole pizza right after I gave birth.
Bonus.
Right on my couch.
So how does the midwife work? Is that through a hospital, through a clinic? How do you reach it? How does this work?
Google.
Oh, okay.
I just searched on midwives in the area, or also there are Facebook groups like Home Birth in West Michigan, Cedar Springs home birthing, and I just asked a lot of different women for advice.
So now, what is a midwife? Is it someone that knows what they're doing, or could I be a midwife?
You cannot be a midwife. You need medical training.
Well, okay, that's what I was wondering. So is it like actually a certification?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
And she's been training with her grandmother. Excuse me.
No, that's all right.
Who's been training with her grandmother, so I like the whole genealogy.
Absolutely, yeah.
She gave birth to all 3 of her kids at her home, and has been doing it for about 40 years before me.
So when a midwife becomes involved in your pregnancy, how early on do they become involved?
As early or as late as you'd like.
So what? Okay.
Because I was I was fit as a fiddle. I didn't.
Right. Yep. And this wasn't your first child, and you weren't concerned, and yep.
And then working on the farm, I barely gained weight, and I was just weeding all the time. Like, it wasn't a necessity. I only went to see her to get ultrasound and.
But did she know you were coming? Did she know
After I contacted her.
So when did you contact her just at the 2 months, or did you like set it up like, hey, I'm gonna be contacting you in a couple months?
No, it was. That I contacted her.
Okay.
Said, hi, are you available to see me? I know you might be busy with other clients, but I'm going to give birth soon.
So what do they do when they come? What's their first?
I have appointments at her house every 2 weeks, depending on the time of how far along I am. And
so they do a full physical exam,
yes,
all that stuff.
I take a urine test for glucose levels, and then blood pressure, weight, height. She'll measure from the top of the stomach all the way to the bottom. We'll check. We didn't check blood. Oh, we'll do ultrasound to see where the baby is, to see the sex of the baby. She's also legally supposed to send me to a hospital or a doctor if there are any complications. And
perfect. So thing was fine.
Yeah.
And does or
no, and that's how we see it.
Wow.
It's just, I think it's the organic fruits and vegetables.
I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Spread the word.
Yeah. It's got to be healthier. So, from what I gather, at some point you guys started doing your own research on vaccinations, and you've chosen we're not doing the vaccinations route. So, because But you're not what would you to go to the doctor?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yes. If there was a problem, of course.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know. So,
Oh, well, right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't assume that you knew, but
Any problems, any developmental problems, medical problems, anything that concerns you?
no.
Never?
No.
Healthy
I
as a
mean,
horse?
the worst is probably him picking at his mosquito bites. I say, don't pick at your owies.
He'll never stop doing that,
No.
ever.
So it'll scab, but I mean,
Yeah.
that is literally the extent of any type of issue
Okay.
medically or physically. I mean, well, it took them until they were about 16 months before they started walking, and they didn't even walk, they just ran.
So how big? That's a long baby.
Yes, right?
That's only about 22 inches shorter than we are now. I have to include myself in that.
You're a little more vertically challenged than I am.
Was heavier and shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's stout. You've seen him. He's
Yeah,
stout.
he's not a chubby kid though. He's
stocky.
yeah. He's about 20 ounces to the pound.
Weeding.
Yeah.
All that weeding.
Yeah, that's right. Get him to work.
Yeah.
He's happy-go-lucky. So, and so. So is
She's probably 50 pounds now.
I don't know about any of this. Is John in his height weight category?
Yes.
Either too fat or they're not. And that also prompted a CPS visit? Is that?
Yes, with the same doctor about the helmet.
Okay. He referred you to CPS how many times then?
It was once, as far as I'm aware.
So,
Huh.
yeah.
I'm
Thanks a
also
lot.
21.
Thanks a lot for the cookie.
Yeah, look what happened now.
So that was like.
Standing.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we would expect that, right? So. But was it so was it the same time that the helmet?
Yes.
Okay, so it was kind of like a couple issues on the same referral. Is that
We
right?
thought they were just coming for the helmet, and then she clarified for us and said, this documentation here says that she's fine, so
Yeah.
I don't know what he's telling you.
Right. Okay. So it's very frustrating.
Very.
So she, 3 months ago she weighed 46 pounds, and about how tall is or was she 3 months ago?
Oh.
You know?
I don't know. I forgot.
That's okay. I wouldn't know how to tell my kids that. I use this.
That's what I was gonna do.
Well, let's say, if she were standing here, what's just your ballpark where you think she'd stand to you? Or you probably know where she comes to your body.
Yeah, with me standing, her head is right up to here. I mean, she fits.
Just like chest level.
Yes.
And how tall are you?
Maybe she's 4
So she's actually pretty tall.
She is, isn't she? I mean, my father-in-law is 6 something.
Oh, well, yeah. Where on you? He's not chest level, so
Right about
just
waist.
over the waist?
Just over the waist.
Okay.
Just tall enough for great hugs.
You betcha. So he is at 2. That's actually pretty tall. That's actually quite tall, too. Yeah, he's going to be a sprouty kid, too, then, isn't he? So now we're going to get into a more difficult subject. And then we're going to as well, which obviously you're going to want to talk about her, but it'll probably be difficult today.
Okay.
Was he excited about that?
Yeah.
Was he really? Good for him. Late, or you were a few minutes early, however we want to word it, right?
Sure. Depending on who you ask.
Right. 2 minutes late, and Seth delivered her. So did Seth know what to do with the cord? Did it all?
Yeah.
Or did he leave a little? So when you gave you bottle feed, breastfeed, pump,
I breastfed
combination.
and pumped.
So when you gave birth, work?
Yes.
Okay, where did you work at?
At the Cedar Springs Mire.
So when you were working at Cedar Mire, while you were at work, did you leave work to breastfeed, or did you leave pumped bottles at home for Seth to feed
I
her?
left pumped bottles at home.
Okay. So how do you do that? When you set up your pump, I mean, I know how the pump works, but is that something you refrigerate, something you freeze, something you do fresh every day? What about, so how does that work?
It depends on my shift, but usually I pump fresh every day, and I will leave one out on the counter, leave some in the fridge, and then there will be some in the freezer. So if he does run out during the day, there's some extra in the freezer on those days where I'm just, pardon my language, but a little more swollen than
Yeah, right, yeah.
usual.
So when you left some, so you would leave one bottle on the counter, so that could be room temperature.
Yes,
And then you put how many typically in the fridge?
about 3.
Okay, and then how many did you typically have on tap in the freezer?
Oh boy. Like 12.
And so those are just in the bottle, nipple inverted, and
No,
how's that
they're
work?
not in the bottle. They're in
Okay.
a freezer-safe pouch.
Oh, like and then that gets stuffed down into a bottle?
No, the pouch gets put into a pot, and then you, with not boiling water, but warm enough water so it defrosts,
Uh-huh.
and then you pour it into a bottle,
Oh, I gotcha.
and then let it sit so it's not too hot.
And so you would keep about 12 of those in the freezer,
Yes.
guesstimate.
Mm-hmm.
So how long do the ones in the freezer stay good?
6 months.
Okay. Oh, so do you rotate the freezer ones out to the fridge so you can put some fresh ones in the freezer?
It depends. Like if we were going to my in-laws' house in Grand Haven, then I would bring the freezer ones with me.
Oh,
Yeah.
to use some of those.
Mhm.
So do you date the ones that are in the freezer?
Yeah.
Do you put dates on
Oh,
them?
you have to.
Okay. Breast formula, or
Breast.
same story?
Farm was taking off well enough, so I was able to stay home and do farmers markets.
fresh from the source. Most. Did you still leave some in the freezer?
I didn't need to.
But what if? So Seth did feed.
And I should note that when I went back to work after already.
Oh, she was. Okay.
So in about a month, she was going to start solid food. So I would have frozen solid food of like breast milk mixed with like cream spinach and peas and ice trays, and then you can defrost that even in a Ziploc bag in the microwave.
So was at 4 months was she developing well? Was she getting to be a roly-poly? How did your kids develop? Every child's different, I know that, but
they all were very engaging and active. And yes, roly-poly is a great way to describe all of them, actually.
Okay.
The only thing they were late on was walking.
Okay. So would you say like chubby cheeks and or was she always thinner?
She was always petite.
Always petite.
Yeah, she was never, nothing chunky about her, just.
But nothing concerning either.
No.
So she was still fitting into the size diapers and stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
So because I mean I've got kids too, but I probably much like Seth, I didn't do most of the diaper shopping. But I know there's like months. Like there's the infant or the newborn, and then it goes like to what?
1, 2, 3.
So that's based on months, right? So let's say like 0 to 3 months or something like that, or does it say 3 to 6 months? Is it not like that
0 to
anymore?
3 months is usually size still newborn, and then
still,
3 to 6 would be size 1.
So when she was 3 to 6, was she wearing size 1, 3 to 6?
Yes, she was good with her diapers.
Okay, so even though she was petite, she was still growing into the age-appropriate diapers.
Yeah, she was very tall.
Okay. And even her clothes, like her 2Ts and 4T toddler stuff, was she age-appropriate with the sizes that she was growing into?
Yeah, we in fact had to get larger because she was so long.
Oh. But they weren't so baggy that they were falling off from her?
No,
okay.
Not until,
Good.
Actually not at all. She finally started to fit them fully when she was maybe a year.
Okay.
And that's when, they didn't.
But now, feeding, he turned into a chunker for a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. And obviously he grew out of that. And so was he still age appropriate, or did he kind of go an age or two over where he should have been?
He was a tad over.
Okay.
Not in the diaper sense, but I mean right now he's wearing 3T to 4T diapers, but that's because they're the pull-up ones.
Yeah.
I'm trying to encourage potty training.
Yeah, well, good.
But his clothes right now are 3T.
Oh, so he is over then, yeah.
Yeah, but he's going to be 3 soon, and I just don't want him, when he puts his arms up, to have his belly out. So
well, plus you want to buy him once. You want him to last more than a week.
Yeah.
At that age, they're just sprouting out.
Growing
So
so quickly.
you didn't work. When did you go back to work? About-ish.
February of this past year.
Of this year or 17? This is 2018?
Yes, 2018.
So this
and that's when I started working at McDonald's.
Okay. And so
February?
Sorry. So
17th, actually.
So in October. So from October 23rd to November 23rd, to December to January to February. So basically the first 4 full months, she was fresh from the source, breastfed as well. Okay. And same story, if you went somewhere, she went with you, Seth never had to feed her?
No.
So for 4 months, he never fed her?
No.
Okay.
No way. Not that he couldn't, I just...
No. But why? Yeah, if you're right there.
And it was winter, cuddle time.
So, February 17th, you go back to work. Why did you have to go back to work?
Just to be blunt, just to support the farm.
Yeah. Yep.
Give us some startup money.
Because now you guys used to do fruit farm produce stand, and Seth was saying that just didn't really take off.
Yeah.
So now he's trying to do a U-Pick strawberry thing, and
So I was pregnant with Mary, taking Elizabeth and John down to farmers markets 4 times a week from 6 to 3.
oh,
Yeah, it was grueling.
it's exhausting.
Yeah, and having to manage the children and then interact with the customers, and some days were just we didn't pay the gas to go down there. So.
I don't blame you.
U-Pick strawberries this year took off phenomenally, and we're going to expand that way.
So now, is the farm, whose passion is that?
It started out as Seth. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, so I didn't...
Not your passion, then.
Not then.
So, is it your passion now?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is something that Seth wanted, and then you grew to love, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I work at McDonald's. I wouldn't otherwise.
No, right. So February 17 rolls around, and at this point, months old. How do you manage feeding them?
Refrigerate bottles.
Okay.
Because I was only doing 4-hour shifts at the time, just so they can see my work ethic. So I would do, I would leave 1 bottle out and then 1 bottle in the fridge, and I would the day and then put her down to bed before I left, and I was at 7 o'clock.
So your shift was
7 to 11.
7 p.m. to 11.
Yeah, for
So is on a typical day, what time in the morning would be your first feeding with her?
At that time?
At that time.
Maybe 5,
a.m.
3:30, and
Okay.
then...
So at 3:30 she would wake up, and would she do a full feeding?
Yes, although she would fall asleep, so I'd wake her up.
You just keep nudging her.
She was full, yeah.
And now typically speaking at 3:30 when you woke her up, would she need a diaper change as well?
No.
Okay,
She wouldn't, because she was up at midnight before that eating.
So the last feeding for the night would be midnight. Well, let's just start at 3:30. That'll give us a good time frame. So at 3:30 there'd be a full feeding, and her diaper was fine. No pee, no poop. She's good.
Yeah, she was fine.
So then, when would be the next feeding?
Between 5 and 6. And that's when I would change her.
And would that be another full feeding?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would change her then, and then...
And when you changed her then, it would be due to?
Urine. And then the kids would be up too, and then so I'd leave just to be awake with the kids, and kids would have breakfast while Mary's either eating or sitting in her little bouncy chair looking around, and then...
So at 4 months, she could sit in her bouncy chair and look around, and...
Yes,
okay.
She was always able to hold her head up on her own. But it was a little rocker chair, not a bouncy chair, I'm sorry. So she would lean back in it, and you put batteries in it, and it rocks on itself.
Yes, yeah. So the next feeding, we have a 5 to 6 time frame. The next feeding would have been when, about?
8 to 9.
8 to 9.
Yeah, she would feed every 2 hours, on average.
Every feeding was a full feeding?
Yes, yes.
And 8 to 9, how was the diaper?
Depending on the day, or how much she ate, I would change her poop 3 times a day.
Okay.
That I made note of.
Okay.
So it's hard to give you specifics on an actual day, but if she didn't poop then, the next time there would be a poop. But it was always 1 in the afternoon.
So either this feeding or the next one is typically a poopy diaper?
Yes.
Okay. And the next feeding was, I know you told me, but I'm not good at the math.
Another 2 hours after that.
So you're thinking 11 to
noonish, because I know she'd eat when the kids would have lunch too.
So noonish.
And then the kids would have their snack around 2, and she'd be eating again.
So I can say that either the 8 to 9 or the noonish feeding was a poopy diaper change.
Yeah. And it was not, I mean, she didn't do solids yet. There wasn't solid poopy yet.
No. And then you said after noonish was, what'd you say, 2?
around 2, the kids would have their snack, maybe 2 to 3.
How about the diaper situation on that one?
It's just always pee. So every time I got her to feed her during the day, there was always pee.
So every daytime feeding had a wet diaper?
Yes.
Holy smoly.
Yeah, well, she was eating a lot.
Yeah, she was.
It was just the 3:30, which I was grateful for, that I didn't have to change her diaper at 3:30 in the morning when I wanted to go back to bed.
Right. So then, 5-ish? 5 to 6? Or is this or would there only be one more feeding before you went to work? Or?
Yeah, so around 5, when the kids would have dinner,
Okay.
because I would put the kids down for bed before I left also, and this was in the winter, so it was darker outside, so they would sleep earlier in the day. So I'd feed everyone, and then that's bed for the night.
Which would be about?
6:30, because then I'd have to get ready for work. 6:30, kids would go to bed, and there'd be a bottle on the counter, and there'd be one in the fridge, just in case.
But first you'd and then put her to
While
bed.
the kids were eating dinner, yeah.
Would you put her to bed? Would she be asleep when you put her to bed?
Yeah.
Okay. So you would feed her to sleep and then lay her to bed. Okay.
Yes. And there wouldn't be anything, not even a teddy bear in the bed, not that early.
Okay.
So, and she would sleep until maybe midnight. So Seth wouldn't even sometimes need the bottle, so I would just use the bottle so it wouldn't go to waste when I came home.
So if you were already home, then you'd use the bottle.
Yes.
But if you weren't home, Seth would use the bottle.
Mhm.
But what would you do with the one in the fridge then?
I'd use it the next morning.
Okay.
Just don't want to waste it. Yeah, at 3:30, when she would get up again, and it was 3:30 clockwork. She knew. I would sleep on the couch because I would just know I'd just be up at 3:30.
So let me just go over this to see if I've got it right. And so actually, I'll start with midnight.
Okay.
So typically, either right before you got home or about the time you got home, there was a feeding.
Yes. I think she just knew Mama was home.
Now, was it always you, or did sometimes Seth feed her prior to you being home?
It was always me.
Okay.
I chose to, and he was very kind about it. He said, "You need your rest." And
Yeah.
I just,
Really, Seth didn't even need those bottles that were left behind because he
not that
didn't.
I remember, no.
Okay.
And she started eating solid food a month after that, and that's when 3 to 11 shifts.
Oh, okay.
And that's when she was eating her solid food, so I would grind up, organic vegetables mixed with breast milk.
Yeah.
And he would feed that to her along with some oatmeal.
Okay. So before we get into that, let me just first make sure this timeline's all right.
Okay.
So at midnight, you would feed Mary. At 3:30 in the morning, she would wake you up crying.
Mhm.
And you'd get up and you'd feed her again. Her diaper was fine because at midnight you changed her diaper.
Yes.
Was that poopy or?
Most likely it was
Okay.
a poop, because she was sleeping for 4 hours before that.
Yep. So then at 3:30, full feeding, diaper's fine. 5 a.m. full feeding, probably a wet diaper.
Yeah.
8 to 9 full feeding, maybe a poopy diaper. Noonish full feeding. If the other diaper wasn't poopy, this one was.
Yes.
2 to 3 full feeding, wet diaper. 6:30, just prior to you going to work, you'd feed, lay her in bed, and then you're off to work. And then you'd be home by midnight. We'd start the thing over again.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you said those habits changed at some point.
At about 6 months.
At 6 months. So at 6 months, did your hours change? Is that why these habits changed, or did they change because or a combination of both?
It could have been a combination of both. I know because she was growing, and she was eating more, and we were encouraging the solid food so she can gain more weight. So we just wanted, I was putting butter in her mashed potatoes so she can gain some weight.
So when she was growing, so now at 6 months, Was she wearing 6T? Was she wearing age-appropriate size diapers?
Lengthwise, yes,
Length?
but she wasn't filling them out widthwise. So she was wearing her 3 to 6 month clothing.
And how do you feel about weight size? Was she okay, or was she?
I was a tad concerned, but then I remembered, I'm a mom, so I'll just worry about anything.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
then I remembered Elizabeth and how petite she was then, and how she would fill in lengthwise, but not widthwise until she was about a year.
So what was your tad concern? What was that? Was she just not gaining enough weight, or was that the concern?
It was possibly, it was just, I think what got to me was seeing like other babies just so chunky and always hearing like, oh, she's so small, and I was like, yes, she's premature, she's petite, leave it alone,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and then also I forget like all these babies are formula fed, and there's nothing against formula, sometimes mothers need to do it, but the formula is what chunks up the baby quickly, and I just didn't do that. So then I got it out of my head. It was just overwhelming.
So you had a little bit of a concern due to her weight, but not her length. But you weren't overly concerned. You got it out of your head because you realized that she's fine. And
yeah, I was being a little vain, I suppose.
Well, we all can do that. So at 6 months, other than a little bit underweight, you considered her to be appropriate size.
Yes, and
Okay.
developmentally as well. I mean, she was.
And she was doing real well developmentally.
Yeah, she was already putting her hands on the floor and just looking around. We have a play mat, and we give her tummy time. So especially on days where I have off, we'll just be playing all day, tummy time, and she'll be on her stomach, and she'll have her head up, looking around, watching the other kids play, or have table time, which is where they do their schoolwork. The cats would cuddle with her, which is adorable. She'd roll over on her back, and there's like a little balcony. It looks like a rainbow, but it's over the head of the baby, and she can.
Oh, yeah, no things they dingle with.
Yeah,
yeah,
she
yeah.
reaches her arms up, and she'll grab at them and pull them down, and then like giggle at the sounds. Like she's
okay.
interactive.
Okay. So you felt that she was developing good at that point.
Yes.
And you're educated in this area, so
I am.
if there's anyone that should know, it would be you. I mean,
I
probably
believe so.
better than us two.
I'd like to think so. Paid for all that education, it should help, right?
So, because you're educated in early childhood development, is that what you said?
Yes.
So, and where's that education through?
It started out at City College of New York,
Okay.
and my credits transferred to Grand Rapids Community College.
Okay. So then, all right. So now we're into the 6 month, and your hours changed to what?
3 o'clock in the afternoon to 11 o'clock in the evening.
And so, I know this is boring, but let's go over the new day schedule now because of the change of hours and the change. At 6 months, have you done a diet change?
Fruit, mashed up fruit, vegetables mixed with breast milk. So the vegetables include whatever we were growing, which were peas, spinach. We got organic carrots from the store. That was a little fibrous, so I mixed it in with some peas. The fruits were blueberries, strawberries, apples, raspberries. She likes raspberries.
So when you mix it in with breast milk, explain what do you mean by that?
Oh, so I would pump some milk in a bottle, and then we have a juicer or a blender. So I would blend the vegetables. So for example, let's do spinach.
Okay.
I blend the spinach in there with a little water, and then I pour the breast milk in there, just so it was easy for her to swallow, like oatmeal.
So then she eat it with a spoon or out of a bottle?
A spoon.
Okay.
It was solid enough for either Seth or I to feed her with a spoon.
So now, at 6 months old, was she using a bottle at all anymore?
No, she didn't need to. She was still nursing.
She was still nursing?
Yes.
Okay. So then let's do this then. Let's talk about, let's go over like the daily routine of that, of
Okay.
nursing and feeding. So
Sure.
if we would say that the day starts at midnight,
Okay.
or no, how,
She was sleeping
What-
through the night at this point.
she was,
Yeah.
okay. So what, in the morning time, what would be your first feeding?
Between 7 and 8, because the kids would wake up at that time as well, and I think they woke her up.
So between 7 and 8, she would awake, and you would feed,
I would nurse her then.
nurse,
So I'd give the kids their breakfast, and then I'd sit down.
and probably a little bit longer now, maybe? Okay.
Yes, oh yeah.
Okay,
She would sit there and chug, and it would take both breasts to
okay.
fill her up.
What, and at that feeding, was it just breast milk?
In the morning, yeah.
And how about diaper?
In the morning, oh yes, because she
Yeah.
slept all night. It was typically a poop,
Okay.
but if not, it'd be a pee, of course, but it was most likely a poop.
And then when was the next feeding after the 7 o'clock one?
She still would eat every 2 to 3 hours.
She did, okay.
But the next feeding after that, so let's say if it was 7 to 8, the first one we'll do 11,
Okay.
and that's when it was solid food. So I'd start with the nursing, and then I'd give her solid food after that.
Solid, the solid smoothie you just explained?
Yes.
Okay.
And it would be vegetable first, and then we'd give her fruit, because if she had the fruit first, she wouldn't eat the vegetable.
So the veggies were mixed with breast milk?
And the fruit wasn't.
And the fruit was not? The
No.
fruit was just the smoothie?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you mix the veggies with the breast milk? What was the purpose? I'm just curious.
The veggie gets a little gritty,
Oh,
so
okay.
with the breast milk it helps it go down easier. Not so chunky.
And how much of that would she typically eat?
About 4 to 6 ounces.
Of
And then-
each one, or combined?
Of each one. And that was even after about a half hour or 40 minutes of nursing.
Oh, so you would nurse her at 11 too?
Yes. I nursed her every chance I got. Getting solid foods and, WebMD recommended and just.
So then 11, actually, the first thing you do is nurse her.
Yeah.
Then you'd feed her the veggie smoothie with breast milk.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd feed her the fruit smoothie with just a little bit of water blended with it, or just fruit?
It depends on the fruit. If it was
Okay.
apple, I'd have to do water with it. Strawberries, didn't need it.
Okay.
If I did strawberry and apple, I didn't need it. It just depended.
And the vegetables was 4 to 6 ounces, and the fruit was 4 to 6 ounces. And so then after that, what would be the next feeding?
Another 2 or 3 hours after that.
Okay, so
It was
One-
whenever she'd ask for it, really.
okay.
So, like, sometimes it would be, because we'd be outside, so we'd be weeding or just playing outside.
Did she come out with you when you were outside?
Yes.
Okay.
She loved
What
it.
did she do?
She'd sit in her stroller.
Okay.
She
All right.
liked to laugh at the birds and
Yeah.
just, and then she'll start to,
That's when you like, hey, I'm
"You
hungry.
hungry? Huh?"
So, but you would have to say that, and I know that obviously that none of us eat lunch exact same time every day, but so 1 to 2 p.m.
Mhm.
you're feeding her again,
Yeah,
and that consisted of
the same thing.
nursing for a half hour.
Yes, yep, nursing first. And sometimes I wouldn't do it that long just because we have work to do outside.
Yeah.
So I'd nurse for a little bit just to appease her so she'd stop crying.
Yeah.
And then I'd sit her in her high chair and feed her her food.
So on the 1 to 2, you might have cut back the nursing a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she'd have the same amount of solid, but that would be enough for her.
Yep, 4 to 6 of each then, and that as well.
Yes, and then I'd put her down for a nap.
Yeah. And so let me back up at the 11 o'clock feeding. Well, at the 7 to 8, I'm sorry, at the 11 o'clock feeding, was there a diaper change?
Yes.
And was that,
Um,
because I know the 7 o'clock one we had usually
Yeah.
a poopy diaper.
No, there was just urine.
Okay.
She would poop again after her nap.
So the 1 to, after the nap. So the 1 to 2 was a diaper change?
Yes.
Just urine?
Okay.
Okay.
And then after that feeding,
So nap was about when to when?
because she hasn't napped for the day, it'd probably be about 3 or 4 hours.
So maybe, let's just say, whatever, 2 to 5, 2 to 6?
Actually, yeah, because then she'd get up and it'd be dinner time for her and the kids and for mom and dad, so she was good on,
So was she usually up by 5, 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Something there? Okay.
time for dinner.
And then when she woke up, did she wake up hungry right away?
Yeah. I mean, I assumed because she would latch on quickly. And I'm sure she refused if she wasn't.
So when she woke up, you would be feeding her 5, 6 o'clock.
After I changed her poop.
All right, change poopy diaper. Now, at this point, are you getting a little more solid poopy diapers, or still runny poopy?
Yeah, there's more solid because she's been eating the chunkier food.
All right. And so based in your opinion of what you're seeing in her diaper, she's digesting her food just fine, everything.
If it was still runny, I'd be concerned. If there's
Yeah.
no poop at all, I'd be concerned.
Yeah, okay.
But the color comes out fine. I mean, it's brown.
Okay. More solid, good color. So, woke up hungry, so that's a nursing?
Yes.
Is that a full, or we're cutting that one back a little too, or?
For dinner.
For dinner.
Yeah, I would cut it back a little too because I also had to get dinner ready for everyone else. So I'd nurse her for a little bit, tell the kids to clear the table, help Dad set the table, and then nurse her while they were doing that, and then we'd have dinner.
So that nursing would be how long-ish?
Maybe like 20 minutes, just enough to appease her.
Yeah.
And then she'd have maybe an ounce more of the solid food.
So 5 to 7?
Roughly, sure. Just because I didn't nurse her as much as I would have.
And is that on both again? So 5 to 7 vegetables, 5 to 7 fruit?
Yes. I gave her some variety.
All right. And so that is the 5 to 6 time frame. So where do we go from there?
Then, after everyone's eaten, the kids clear the table, and they either like help Dad with dishes, or clear the counter, or put the food away in the containers. Meanwhile, Rocker just watching everyone, or we have a striped kitty. We have 3 kittens, and they were born the 19th of October, and he was born the 23rd. So yeah. So the striped one likes to cuddle with Mary in her rocker chair.
Oh.
So she would
gets right up in there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Really cute. We have pictures.
Yeah.
And he would just sit there right on her, by her feet, and just rock with her and fall asleep. And she wouldn't usually fall asleep. There was just so much going on with the kids. So she would just watch and just make little noises. And
so, obviously the same with all of us, with the pictures and stuff. So, like, you have pictures of Mary, like, in her rocker, sitting upright, all that kind of stuff. And are those on your phone, on a camera, on a Google Drive?
They're on my phone.
On your phone, okay. We didn't grab that, though, right? You didn't take that? Okay.
I wasn't even sure where it was. I'm not on it very much. It's just like sit down.
Use it as a camera, right?
Yeah.
In June 2020, Seth Welch was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In November 2021, Tatiana Fusari was also sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder. She was additionally sentenced 15 to 30 years on the charge of first-degree child abuse.